All right, welcome fellow TFFL owners to another TFFL webcast. It is Wednesday, September 28th. We are heading into week 4 TFFL action already, believe it or not. I'm Stick, managing editor of TFFL Media, leader of the Aliens, joined as always by 2 of our regular panelists, our commissioner and skipper of the Sponge Fishermen, Chief.
Hey, Stick.
Czar and CEO of the K-Wheels, Hank.
Good day.
Tonight we're missing Berto, who is, I think, getting over an illness, but he'll be back with us next week. And joined by our special guest, one of our most frequent guests, Bill. Welcome.
How's it going, Stick?
Do you have a fancy title on the Slippery Beavers, or are you just majority?
Well, the Shive is Inspector Fuzz. I am just Thorny.
Well, he is a rules
It's really not coordinated well.
All right. Well, welcome back. First time on in 2016. So let me throw out our trivia question to start. Somebody there is keeping score year long, aren't they? Hank,
Am I keeping score? If I'm keeping score, I will find the old scores or go back and watch and retabulate the scores.
Hank,
Sure.
Keep score, but this was important to Berto.
Okay, we're gonna make sure this happens.
And he's not gonna get any points this week.
Okay.
So here we go. We are in our 20th season now. 3 teams are tied for the most lifetime playoff losses. I'm going to give you a point for naming each of those teams. You can get 1 point, 2 or 3 points. I'll give you another point if you can get within 1 of the exact number of playoff losses those 3 teams have. Think about this for a little bit. I think it will come to you.
All right. So we're talking there's 20 seasons, all 20 of the modern era.
Well,
Which 3 teams have the most losses and how many?
Yes. And keep in mind, we've actually only had 19 playoffs thus far. All right. We'll get the correct answer later in the show. Bill, we'll give you some points now. You can bank those and come back later in the year. All right. Chief, did you have a best and worst lineup moves for us this week?
Nope.
No. Okay. Chief did just send out his commissioner's report, a great report as always, punctuated by some great graphics at the end. I really appreciated that.
Me too, Chief. Thank you.
So first order of business, let's get the formal league business out of the way. I want to talk about some new rules. We've got our rules chairman, Bill, here to help us. I got to say I was a little surprised at the volume of new rules we passed this year. I think our commissioner would probably say it's a little more of a burden on him. He may not be totally happy with them. But we do have a couple significant new free agent rules. And as we get into the bye weeks, as we see all the injuries that are hitting teams, I think it's important that we spell out the free agent rules, the new ones, and maybe talk a little bit about how teams can work that system to their advantage over the weeks ahead. Chief?
Sure. Thanks, Dick. We'll start up first with not a rule but a clarification, and this came up last year, and I made a ruling, and it was codified into the rule book this past year, which is, you make either an IR request or an FA request on a player. There's no omniscience in the part of the owner making requests saying, if I want to use an IR, but if I don't have to, make it an FA instead, or vice versa. Let me use an FA pick unless it turns out that I wouldn't get him, and then I'll use an IR pick instead. That's not acceptable. So I just want to make sure I cleared that up. And that actually went through the voting process last off season, and that's the way it turned up. Is most of the league agreed with the ruling as applied. Going to new rules, there are 3. The easiest one, actually no, I think it was a rule last year when we expanded the number of FA picks to 4. That was last year's season. We played with that one. So the 2 new ones are that FA picks are tradable. And again, just to clarify, I don't mean you pick up a player in FA and immediately trade him to another player. As far as I'm concerned, that's always been legal. But you can actually trade unused picks. And actually, that's the third one. The third one wasn't we got an extra pick. It was that you can use more than one pick in a week.
Right.
So these rules can be used together. So if you run out of picks or simply want more than one pick in a week, you can make a trade for it. Now, this week as it happens, I'm number 1 in the FA order. Okay, if I trade off a pick, so let's say Thornburg, okay, he doesn't pick in the number 1 spot. He picks in the number, I don't know where he is right now, 6 or so
8
spot in the FA order.
8.
He gets a new pick. He doesn't get the privilege of picking in my spot. So if you're really targeting a guy, it'd make more sense to make a deal with me beforehand and say, hey, I'll trade you this for the guy if you take him in FA. If you just need another pick to fill up your lineup, you're not dead set on who it is, then you pick up another pick and then you use it when your natural turn comes around.
And the importance of, I think, of that part is that somebody can acquire a pick and they don't have to use it that week. So we don't have to keep track of where somebody was when that happened or where they are now when they use the FA. You just add it to what you have. It's totally that team's.
Thank you. The other big pick now, and I kind of like this, but I'll see how much it actually comes into play this year. I definitely would have used it in past years, where if you run out of IR picks and you get another guy hurt, you can use an FA pick to acquire a player and then send the player you're downgrading to IR instead of releasing him outright. You could release a third player off of the IR. For example, I think last year I had a quarterback injury week 1 or 2, and I had to get a replacement. A few weeks later, I didn't really have a guy who was really hurt badly, but there was an opportunity to pick up a guy who was getting more playing time, so I did that. And all of a sudden, I think it was, they both did eventually. LaShawn McCoy and Mark Ingram got hurt, and I couldn't put them in IR because they didn't have any IR picks left. I wasn't going to put them on FA and waive them outright. So I got to be playing a little shorthanded. This way, I could have, moved McCoy to IR and taking that guy who I stashed here week 3, I really didn't care about that, whoever happened to be hurt then, and throw him into the waiver pool. So you still have 2 guys on IR, but they can change.
And you're not benefiting really from using an IR pick a third time. It's actually a free agent pick.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes. And the guy does have to fulfill the criteria of being on IR.
Right.
He does have to be, questionable or worse.
And no return.
And no return. I'm sure that will come up this offseason. IR return.
Oh, and one other thing, Chief, I'm sorry if you're not getting this, but remember we did rescind the thing of somebody being able to go on IR due to suspension or something. It's only medical.
Right. Thanks for bringing that up. Because that happened this year a couple times.
The Martavis Bryant rule.
Where players were, we saw it in the past, people drafting suspended players early. Martavis Bryant comes to mind right away. This year we didn't see that happen very much because they didn't have the option of stashing him in IR. Josh Gordon last year.
One last note. The only thing I saw was that there was a basic turn down of any more increase in the number of FA picks. So we're basically stuck there where we have 4 FA, 2 IRs, and that's going to be. We don't think we'll see any more interest in changing that in the future.
All right. Well done, Bill, managing our rules process as always. Thank you. We'll have you back on much later in the year to talk about potential new rules that we'll be looking at next year.
And the draft.
Of course, the draft. Of course.
College guys, come on, let's think.
So let's go from talking about the overregulation of America and the overregulation of the TFFL to let's talk football. Let's jump in and talk about some specific players. Every year there are guys who sort of come out of nowhere or are having career years, and they start strong and they go on strong and they can really make the difference for a fantasy team. Likewise, there are studs who come out slow, and you're constantly asking yourself, is it time to take this guy out of the lineup? Time to take him out of the lineup? And the sooner you do it, the better, because that guy is going to end up being a year-long flop. So let's talk about a few of these guys. I want your opinions, whether be able to keep it up or come back to earth, rebound perhaps, or just, again, be a season-long flop. And let's start with the aliens. LeGarrette Blount leading the NFL in rushing, scoring a ton of points for the aliens. Key issue here, I think, is Tom Brady coming back. Does he keep it up to any extent?
Not really. In fact, you should probably trade him. But that might be a little drastic. But you said it. When Brady comes back, they'll be throwing it a lot more than they are now, and James White, or maybe ultimately Deion Lewis, will be lining up in the backfield a lot more as part of their know-how-to attack and as part of their offensive scheme. They'll probably go with a pass catching back a lot more than they do right now.
Or some guy on a Barca-lounger right now.
I don't know, Blunt, but he's gonna get his carries in New England, especially as it gets cold. There's
gonna be somebody we don't even know who he is. They're gonna get him. The Vikings are gonna release their 9th running back, and they're gonna pick him up, and suddenly he's gonna have 240 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, the Vikings could use their 9th running back right now. We got Ronnie Hill.
What's Jonas Gray doing these days? So, we had that 200-yard, 4-touchdown game, and 2 years ago.
All right, let's talk about a receiver, K-Wheels receiver, Marvin Jones. I think leading the league in receiving. Huge game this past week.
Yeah, I mean that's great. I guess the Calvin Johnson role is open. And there's a lot of balls flying in Detroit, so that's a nice move for him, and seems to really be doing it. That's obviously we're not going to have a lot of 24-point games, but that's fantastic.
You think?
I think the Detroit running game is the most important issue here. I mean, who's going to be, with? They even signed Joyke Bell again.
I saw that. Mm-hmm.
The Bears got Joyke Bell.
Oh, was it the Bears? Oh, I thought that they.
Yeah, because Langford's hurt, right? Langford is going to be out for a while.
Yeah.
Yep.
As far as Marvin Jones, I obviously he's not going to sustain the pace he's on right now. But I think he's a legit number 1 receiver. He'll get his points.
Former Sponge?
Marvin Jones?
Yeah.
Yeah, briefly. I am 2 years ago, and when I needed an IR replacement, he was the guy who got jettisoned.
All right, the big name I want to talk about, Kristen Michael in Seattle. They just signed C.J. Spiller there today. They drafted a bunch of running backs. They have Thomas Rawls, obviously. Michael's getting the bulk of the carries now, but I just have this suspicion there. When everybody else is healthy, he's probably not going to be the full-time back. So enjoy it while you can, I guess, Nick, would be.
And it generated profanities from the aliens towards the Slippery Beavers and the Pittsburgh Pirates for some reason. Not the aliens. I mean, from Nick, from the Devils. The Devils replied to the early bird report with some profanities.
Yeah, I actually know what you're talking about. That was pretty funny because it was a very brief message by Nick, and it was like F this and F that, and F this.
Well, but had he started him, Christian Michael.
I don't remember what it was about. I remember being
right. He had Kristen Michael and a bunch of points on his bench.
21 points on his bench from Kristen Michael, and he loses to me by 6.
Yeah.
So if Berto calls up Nick or emails him or whatever, and makes a pitch to acquire Kristen Michael, do you think Nick does it? Should he be holding on to Michael as a centerpiece of a rebuilding plan?
What's Berto realistically got to pay?
Who knows? But Berto's always willing to give up.
With Thomas Rawls on his roster. I don't know. I don't think Nick
starting
onto him.
This week I'm playing Nick, and he does not have Christine Michael in the lineup.
I would be surprised if Berto has not made contact on that.
I would be surprised if Nick has set his lineup yet.
That's true. I don't know though, man. It looks like he maybe has already been in here.
Does he have
We'll
any
see. No, he
Thursdays?
hasn't.
Does
He's
he have
still
any?
got Mason Crosby, and no, he has not looked at this.
All right. Okay, let's look at some other guys who have been flopping thus far. The question is there genuine hope for a turnaround? The first guy on my list was a guy who was a big flop last year. Wide receiver Randall Cobb for Green Bay, for the Steel City Mongols. Is it time to concede that this guy just isn't that great a receiver?
I thought the Mongols going into protection day had better options than Randall Cobb to keep. To be honest, I was mildly surprised he was a keeper for him. And it's tied to Aaron Rodgers. If he's turned the corner and he's back to the Aaron Rodgers future Hall of Famer, then yeah, Cobb will get his. But Rodgers, with the exception of last week, hasn't been that guy in seems about a year and a half now. A consistent, 3 touchdown, 300-yard guy.
No, but last week, Green Bay scored 34 points and Randall Cobb had 33 yards receiving, and that's the kind of thing you don't want. You have him because you think he's going to be Rodgers' guy when it gets to it, and he's just not that guy this year.
Well, it was clear last year when Jordy Nelson went down and Cobb had to be the number one that he just isn't a number one receiver.
Right.
But this year, thus far, through 3 games, he doesn't even look like a very productive number 2. Again, even in a game where Rodgers did put up a lot. Bill, you obviously watch the Packers and Rodgers a lot, I'm sure. What do you think?
I think you're right. I think he was forced into a position where he might have been a number 3 last year. I mean, let's recall it wasn't just Jordy Nelson that the Packers lost. They lost receiver after receiver after receiver and tight ends and stuff. So he was forced into a role. Maybe his targets went up and people over-evaluated. I still think he's I still think that offense is still developing, and they actually have a bye week now, and they'll come back. I think he's still a quality low 2, high 3 wide receiver.
Okay.
It just hasn't developed yet. Just hasn't come to, and we just saw that they had their first, big explosive game, and they basically sound their heels in the second half. So,
let's talk about a running back now. A guy who I'll see if I can dig up his stats real quick, but has really done nothing. Running back Giovanni Bernard in Cincinnati. Part of that mediocre group of okay keepers for the Senators, and frankly, he's doing less than okay right now. Jeremy Hill is the guy getting not just the touchdowns, but most of the carries there.
Yeah, I think we knew that. I think a better fantasy team doesn't keep Giovanni Bernard. I think he's a guy you try to improve on that roster slot. And there's no surprises there. Here's what he is. He'll have the occasional breakout game where he has a high volume receiving game plan. And otherwise, he's a 6 to 8 touch kind of guy, especially if the Bengals happen to be winning. So it's he is what he is. I think this is who he is.
The Senators are in trouble. I think they have very little superstar potential. Jarvis Landry looks good, but just like their keeper list. I'm a huge Calvin Benjamin fan, but he posted a donut last week against the Vikings, granted. But you're starting Kenyon Drake.
He posted 18 against the Sponge the previous week.
We got bye weeks coming up. This. Remember, we have to lower expectations about everybody's lineup. I mean,
the problem with Amir Abdullah, pretty much out for the year.
Mm-hmm.
Giovanni Bernard is now useless.
He's got Brady coming back, so he's got a hope there.
Yeah. Okay, let's now talk about a particular TFFL team. Put them under the microscope a little bit. We're going to talk about a team on the panel. I don't mean to pick on them. But they're 0-3, and there's a lot to talk about. I think there are 3 ways I can break this topic down, and so let me just start with the first one. An emotional one. Chief, we've all been there. Can you describe being 0-3, how you're dealing with it? I think it's probably a mix of anger, anger and depression?
No, for me, it's business as usual, and there's no logical explanation for it, unless my guys are all slow starters. The guys who've been with me for a bundle of years now, the Coys, the Ingrams, the Cooks. Yeah, I'm in the exact same spot I was last year. I think one other time in the last 5 years.
So you're comfortable?
I'm comfortable. I'm not happy,
No?
but I'm not panicking.
Okay.
I see no reason I can't win the next 5 or 6 games. I probably won't.
Well, okay,
The Lizards this week.
So let me shift a little bit to my second topic here, and let me educate our fellow owners. You've made a habit of this now. So you're 0-3 this year. You started 0-3 in 2015, turned it around, went 6-4 to finish 6-7. You started 1-5 in 2014, turned that around, going 5-2 down the stretch to finish 6-7. You started 2-5 in 2012. Didn't really turn that one around, but yeah, is there an explanation for this? Is it something you're now going to start thinking about next year? How can I get out to a better start?
No, I mean, I was fully cognizant of this back on draft weekend. I hope I get better out of the gate. It's just a damn thing. I lost with a 91 or 93 point performance week 1.
Yeah.
Where that was. Last 2 weeks haven't been anything special, obviously. But 1 and 2 would look a lot better than 0-3 right now.
Right.
And my guys just aren't scoring. I don't think Cooper's found the end zone yet this year. Ivory obviously hasn't been contributing whatsoever to me. Luck has had 2 meh games in a row. So, yeah, I don't think there's a logical explanation. If there is, I'm not seeing it.
I think you're going to see a rebound from Cooper real soon because his numbers.
Yeah.
I also think for as a misguided thing as it was, I think the Bills firing Greg Roman's only going to help LaShawn McCoy get some more carries.
The carries.
Anthony Lynn seems to do a lot better in that regard for his running back.
Hey, real quick, let's practice our lightning round skills. Real quick answers. What was it that Chris Ivory was hospitalized with that has been kept such a secret? What's your answer? I've got Zika.
I think he super glued his dick to his leg. And he had to go to the hospital to get some solvent.
Gout.
Yeah. Do we have an answer on this?
I'm amazed at how well that secret has been kept. The guy was hospitalized for a good week or 2, right, Chief?
That was like 2.5 days.
I think Zika is a good answer because
down in Florida.
Yeah, I think that's a good answer.
All right.
It's because it's stigmatizing.
So let me ask you, Bill, and you, Phil, about getting off to a good start. I feel like this is a topic the league as a whole has been talking more about recently. How important it is to get out to even just to a 1-2 start sort of keeps you a little more in it. But you really want to come out strong and not feel like you're in a position where you have to start thinking about trading for next year, or you want to be the aggressor. How much do you guys invest in getting players who you think are going to perform early on in the season and help you get the momentum going?
I'll be happy to go first. It's been interesting because we have not started fast recently, and I wouldn't say this is a fast start, but it's a better than slow start. But normally I'd be looking at, who can I acquire to be a running back? Who can I acquire to be, a guy for our future, a keeper that I can give up something? And I'm looking at my lineup and I'm saying, well, at some point I'm going to want to, get another wide receiver, but it's not going to be a developmental guy. So that's sort of a transition for us. And we've had good records in the past, and even when we won, back in the days, we won big games early. We've won small games closely, and I'd like to see a little bit more from a little bigger margins.
Mabel, hold his calls.
Yeah, it's my mom, so I'll call her back.
It's on the webcast. Are you kidding?
Patrick. Okay, Phil, did you have? I'm sorry, you want to?
Yeah, no. I was just going to say that the key with the start and why it seems to matter so much, I think, is because the first 4 games contain 2 division games for everyone. Sorry, Mom. But they contain 2 division games for everybody. So, these are almost game and a half type situations where now, I'm 2.5 games up on my division mates, and I feel pretty good about it after 3 games. And, I know I've been a lot on the other side of that, and you feel like it's a long way up. And then you got, a run of games against the other conference, and hopefully you can make some hay there and, try and, win some games. But it gets tougher with the further down you get. And when you're 3-0, Stick, feels pretty freaking good, I'd say.
You make a really good point. They're not just early season wins; they are early season division wins, and that extra half game is very important.
Can I add one little point? As I have been notified out for having a good record in this season so far, I still have yet to see any retractions or at least acknowledgments of good moves by the swapping of picks to get Isaiah Crowell, to not take Alan Hearns at 6 and instead take Jordan Matthews at 12.
Those points been made, not in front of you.
No, I think we've taken Berto to task a little bit. I mean that, and as much as we picked on you, for that trade, he doesn't keep Derek.
I hadn't seen anything, so I thought it was my time to at least.
We've discussed internally. This group.
No, I think it might have been discussed a little bit with Nick last week, but you wouldn't have been able to hear it with all the echoes.
And one other thing, just to piggyback on Phil, he made, as you said, a good point on the round robin division games in the first 3 weeks. The other thing about losing early is, I don't fall in this category, but I think most owners do, is then you start to play for next year. And you start selling off assets. And so, whereas if the games all count the same. So whether you're standing at, say, 5-4, after 9 games, you'd probably take that and say, good, I got a good playoff shot. But if you drop your first 3 or 4 of your first 5 in that way, you don't think that way, and you're not going to get a chance to win those later games in the second third of the season. So, it sucks, but they're all worth the same.
The third angle I want to look at here, and it's a big one, is the Sponge having a poor season this year. If you can't turn it around, isn't just a poor season this year. It costs you. Well, you're going to lose your first round pick next year, no matter what. You've already lost it. You traded it away to the Lizards.
Yeah, unless I pick up another one.
Yeah, but I think the point I'm trying to get to is that it will be all the more painful next year if that ends up being a number 2 or 3 overall pick in what I think we just lost Bill.
We lost Bill. We'll get him back.
Talking to his mother. What I think will be a pretty good draft for rookie running backs next year. And even if you're not concerned about it, let's talk about, the Lizards are probably pretty excited.
I'm not concerned at all. That's the reason I took Kenneth Dixon, number 5 overall. That's the reason I doubled down with Dwayne Washington in the 3rd round. I knew I didn't have a first round pick next year. And so I did my draft this year accordingly, instead of picking up Alan Hearns and Jordan Matthews at number 5. I maybe reached slightly for a rookie running back. I'd like to say I knew I wasn't going to be drafting early next year. I don't think I will be. But just in case, or even not early, maybe 7th or 8th, you may get a second-tier running back. I planned it out. I budgeted for it.
You have Andrew Luck.
Yeah. Before I finish, I just want to say, this here is Ballast Point Pale Ale. This is me. This is Great Lakes Turntable Pills. This is Berto. So I'm beating him.
Yeah. Nice. Well, way to hold down his end. Well done.
All right, so we'll see. I'm sure the Lizards obviously are rooting for the Sponge not to turn it around.
Certainly.
For the record, Chief, as a division foe of the Lizards, I'm rooting for you to turn things around here. So let's let's get to our trivia answer real quick, and then
Could I quickly interject one thing
Please do.
before we do that? There's a weird thing. Week 9, there are 6 teams on a bye in week 9. I saw that. I looked at the list. I'm like, how come I have so many teams on week 9? I looked at everybody else. Everybody's got. I've never seen it. It's like there was 1 bye in week 3, and now there's. I mean, the distribution of that is bizarre. So everybody beware of week 9.
That's not new for this year.
That's happened before. There's always a couple of weeks where it's dicier than
Yeah,
others.
but overloaded, 6?
I think
Jeez.
the last 2 years has been like that.
Yeah, I think
Really?
so too.
All right.
I think
We've had a week with 6 and a week with 2.
I don't know if this is new or not, but week 13 there are I think
They're
2
buys.
perhaps that are on buys,
Yeah, that's late.
Oh,
including Hank, Tennessee, I believe.
Indeed.
oh.
It could be a key game, and I've got my 2 running backs are out.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
We may be talking more about that later in the year.
We'll see.
Okay, so let me give you my trivia answer here. Then we'll move on to a couple other segments and start to wrap up. The question is, we're looking for the 3 TFFL franchises.
Oh, 3.
Was that not clear? That that are tied for the record of most lifetime playoff
Me
losses.
and Hank are close on this one.
All right, and I want the number of losses they have. Chief has got the Aliens, Lizards, and Ampac with 11. Hank has got the Devils, Ampac, and Lizards, swapping in the Devils for the Aliens with 10.
Yep.
Thorny has got the Mongols. Come on.
Come on.
The Mongols is always a good trivia.
Never in the playoffs.
We're talking about
Playoffs.
playoffs. Mongols, Hams, and Aliens with 7. Okay, so the correct answer, the Ampac, the Senators, and the Aliens, all 3 with 11.
Oof, 11.
11. So the way to go about this, of course, was to think about teams that have not won packed bowls. In the case of the Aliens or the Senators, have been consistently good, making the playoffs. The Ampac actually have some packed bowls to their credit. But yeah, 11 times in 19 years, Ampac, Senators, Aliens made it to the playoffs and lost somewhere along the way. All right, heading into week 4 action now. Hank, this will become a lot more important as we get deeper into the season.
Yep.
You'll be giving us standings and playoff scenarios. It's early. As Chief said, nobody's panicking yet. But let's take a look at the standings. Let's take a look at the
We
standings.
got a good breakdown. So this is the most exciting thing you're going to see all day, right? You got it. Take a screenshot. Look at this business.
Man, that's high tech.
A Wheels 3-0.
High tech.
We're very excited.
You're killing trees.
All right. On the other side of the ledger, I'm sorry, Chief. It has to happen. This is the not so good. These guys, got it right now. Right now.
Facts are what they are.
They are what they are. So these guys, there's some teams with a lot of hope on this list. The Killers always have hope. The Lizards need to get it around. Mongols, we thought they maybe had some talent. And those Senators that we just mentioned as playoff perennials. And these guys are a little happier. The Fats, the Beavers, the Devils, and the Hams, I noticed, are the number 1 team in the power rankings as it breaks down on CBS. So they're scoring points. These guys are a little bit better off. But that's where we are. It's early. We lead with the headlines.
Nice work.
3-0.
3-0. All right. Yeah, it's early. I don't want to get overexcited, but
Hey,
I like the 3-0.
good.
Okay. Chief, time for any rants, any reminders. We had a good set of rules reminders to begin with. Take it away.
I don't have anything out of the ordinary. Thursday game is Dolphins-Bengals. Lots of injuries on the Dolphins there, but get your picks in. Not your picks in. Get your picks in if you're doing the pools, but get your lineup decisions in for Thursday night games.
Sunday morning game.
Yeah.
Sunday morning game in London. What's the TV deal on that this year? Is that an option or is that
I think it's on NBC Sports. or something, or maybe it's on NFL Network. I don't think it's on regular.
Usually the one the games suck anyway. Here's the Jaguars and somebody.
Jacksonville and whomever.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You can wake up at 9:30 and watch football for 12 hours.
Glorious.
And that's all I have, really. I don't think there's much else to talk about.
All right.
I've had a good rant, it seems, for over a year now. I guess I got to start remembering things.
Since I might not be on until the playoffs come around, and I might get questioned on other things, I want to remind people that tonight on Turner Classic Movies, Strange Brew is on. If anybody is still subscribing to cable or networks or whatever like that, DVR that movie and watch it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again.
Nobody's watching this live, though.
Yeah.
What's that?
Nobody's watching this live.
Yeah, but you four are.
But hey, as a
I have
quick
a DVD.
as a quick public service and another lightning round challenge to all of you, we were talking texting about TV shows. Rob Iannuzzi was recommending Stranger Things. I want one quick TV show recommendation from each of you.
Angie Tribeca.
Everybody knows Mr. Robot. I'll give you Mr. Robot. I also do like Suits. It's a little cheesy, but I like it on USA.
I've got nothing that's actually being shown right now. Like I said, if you enjoy the Douglas Adams books, you probably know Hitchhiker's Guide series. He has a lesser-known series called Dirk Gently Holistic Detective Agency. BBC America is starring a TV series next month based on that novel.
What's it called again?
2.5 books. Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency.
Dirk Japanese. Okay.
I think it starts October 22nd. So I haven't seen it. I'm hopeful.
Excellent.
All right. Well, there's really only one non-sports show that I watch or follow, and that's Mr. Robot. That's been my show since it started 2 years ago. I know Berto's, he just said he binge watched the second season. Ralph is a big fan. If you're not watching that, it's on USA. That's a great show. There are our TV recommendations for the week. Good luck to everybody in week 4. Chief, again, rooting for a turnaround selfishly so that the Lizards don't benefit too much next year, but also for your sake. Hank, let's keep it up.
Forward. Here we go.
Yep. And Bill, thanks for being here. We'll have you back long before the playoffs.
Petrified of an 0-3 impact. That's what I am.
All right. Well, good luck to everybody in week 4. Good luck as we start getting into some bye weeks. It gets interesting. It's been interesting all along, but we're going to have some challenges managing our lineups going forward, and we'll see who emerges from all this as we work our way through the no-co, no-co battles here.
When's the first trade happen? The first big trade of the season?
I think it's a little bit early, but like I said, I'd be surprised if Berto isn't asking about Kristen Michael. I think, and we talk about this every year. It's probably like around week 5 where people start making some conclusions about whether they need to be buyers or sellers. So we'll see them soon enough. All right. Good luck, everybody. We'll see you on hopefully the chat board on the TFFL website this weekend. We'll be back here next week talking about week 5. Good luck. Take care.